Hey guys, I'm back, and as I promised, today we are going to review the Sylphids. And I think this is also pretty convenient because I got another water Sylphid since I fed the two that I originally had, just from being a noob a while back. If this thing will load, yeah, I ended up feeding the water Sylphid, so I'll show you guys. Where are you? Here she is. So her full recovery is extremely useful, especially because when you upgrade it, it drops from... And now don't get confused by these change of terms. I'll go into that a little bit more later down the road, but it's the same skill, it just gets one less cooldown time, and then when you fully upgrade her last skill, it's -1 again. So in total, it'll be 5 turns to fully recover the HP. And then she also gives herself plus 50 resistance, or 50% resistance. So that could be helpful if you're going to be if you plan on using her to solo. Probably wouldn't recommend it, but she's actually pretty helpful for the dragons B10. She can be a good healer. She's a really good combo with Eladriel for those of you that have her, since Eladriel uses half of his current health to revive someone to full health. Then she can full heal Eladriel, so it's pretty awesome. But so yeah, we're gonna start from the Fire Sylphid and work our way down to the Dark Sylphid. So now this is definitely my least favorite Sylphid. I had 2 of her and then 2 of the water ones that I used to evolve the cases to get a bunch of skill ups. I regret the water, but I really don't regret feeding the fire ones, just because the actual third skill is really not that good. And to be fair, actually, we'll go down here and look at the awakened version, because she does get a boost to her third skill. So cuts the enemy with a sharp blade and inflicts continuous damage for 3 turns with a 30% chance. So that's going to be the basic skill. That continuous damage is really helpful on the Sylphids, because they're support monsters and they can add in a little bit of punch to the mix. Because once you get up to those higher level, dungeons like B10, B9, continuous damage is pretty much the only thing you can really do on the boss, unless you have something that's like scaled, like an attack that's based off of the enemy's max HP or something like that, like a Dark Salamander. Then yeah, that hits pretty well. But other than that, continuous damage effects are really what you're looking for. So attacks all enemies with a fiery tornado and increases the attack bar of all allies by 20%. So that can be useful since it's an attack bar increase. So it's kind of like Bernard or Megan, but without any buffs. So again, could be better, but again, she is a support-based monster, so you're really looking towards more things like buffs and heals, and she's got a pretty decent heal right here. The only thing that really sucks is that it sacrifices all of the HP. So I'm gonna read it off right now. So basically, the way this works is, unawakened version, you activate this, and then it basically commits suicide on the Fire Sylphid, and then heals all of the other monsters in your group to full health. And then when you awaken it, this basically becomes kind of like a passive. You can still use the skill whenever you want, but once you die, it automatically activates and everyone else gets healed. So it's basically like a ticking time bomb, just waiting, to get activated once you die, or whenever you, choose for it to go off. And then it pretty much just releases 100% HP on pretty much all of your monsters. Now that seems pretty good, but it's a one-time thing unless you got, a healer. So I think this this skill can be useful if you've got like a revive team. But again, there's no wind-based dungeons right now that are B10, so I can't see her being really used on any teams. And even then, I see other heal monsters just so much better. So for a 4-star, I wouldn't say she's awful, but I think the other Sylphids are definitely better. You could figure out some way to make this third skill, pretty useful, especially if you've got, what were some of the names? Michelle, Ladriel. What are some of the other ones? Maybe like a light pix. I'm just naming off some of the revive-based monsters. One of the good ones, actually, one of the better ones for this would probably be Briand, which is the Wind Death Knight. You just heal the entire team, then he heals, and then it basically balances HP and heals a little bit. And then that way, when they balance the HP, everyone has max HP. So then you fill Freya up pretty decently, and then you only have a little bit of HP lost. But again, you'd really have to set it up, and it's more of a manual-based attack. So I wouldn't recommend using her. The resistance can come in handy, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend her. Maybe down the future, in the future, if they fix or like change a skill. I don't see them ever changing the skill. Or if there's some other monster that gets introduced that could be that this could be used for. What I'm actually curious about is if this would work with the Light Taoist, because the Light Taoist doesn't allow your teammates to die with the passive. So I'm going to show you really quick. I know I've talked about him a lot, but he's just absolutely fantastic. So look at this. Prevents an ally from dying with an attack and shares 30% of your HP. And then basically the skill won't activate if you're below 30% HP, so that way you don't die. But imagine this. Imagine if Freya activates her thing to do the whole, group healing, dies, Taoist passive activates, and then shares some of the HP. So basically it just heals everyone else, and then shifts a bit of HP between the two. So he would end up with about 70% HP, and then she would end up with 30% of whatever your max HP is for your Light Taoist. Now again, the Light Taoist is pretty hard to obtain. I really wish I could get him, but I probably won't ever get him. But if you do manage to get one, I could see this tag team doing well if the way I described it actually works. If it doesn't, then this would just be awful. But if that does work, then that would be an absolutely fantastic one. I'm actually curious if this would work with the Water Death Knight as well. More curious than really like wanting to actually try it out. But if it does work, let me know, because that'd be something interesting to test out. Because we're starting to get more monsters like the Water Death Knight and the Light Taoist. We've also got the Light Pioneer, who see. With this shield, if an ally dies, they get automatically 30% of their HP back. So I'm curious if this will work with, suicide-based attacks, where Freya dies and then gets her health back, 30% of her health back, and heals everyone else. That would be a pretty good team, honestly, because it's a group heal, and Jesus, I'm getting so many notifications. Okay, so it's a group heal, and if you can get a monster that can keep her from dying with her, third skill, then I think I could see her being used on some teams. Okay, so next one is the Water Sylphid, Lumeracia. Now, she is pretty well known for being able to solo Dragons B10, but I wouldn't recommend it. It takes forever. You need some good accuracy and some amazing resistance, because really the only way she's going to do damage to actually do the dungeon in less than like 4 hours would be to use continuous damage. And yeah, just the continuous damage. So you need 100% resistance, a ton of HP, and you would need to be able to put on this continuous damage onto the boss as fast as possible. Now, I haven't done Dragons B10 yet. I don't know what the towers are. I just haven't I haven't made my way up there yet. So once I check out what the towers are, or even just Google them, then I could possibly tell you, the best setup. But I definitely know you will need resistance, So the only way she would ever, solo would be with amazing runes. The resistance ability again could be useful. 50% is quite a few, and basically it's just this single target, heavy healing thing. So if you have some monster like a Ladriel, then she would be useful. Or if you've got, probably only Ladriel I'd see this, because team healing is a lot better than the single target, but this is 100% HP. So probably with like a Ladriel or units that like sacrifice HP for certain things, this could be definitely useful. But other than that, I don't see her being used for much. I will definitely keep her, though, to try to, get a good rune build on her. Probably more late game stuff, though, really. But, yeah, I think she's pretty useful. If you get one, keep her. The fire one, I could probably say get rid of her. If you don't have, like, the Light Taoist or the Pioneer or something like that. Wouldn't really pair the Fire Sylphid with the Water Death Knight. I mean, the Water Death Knight is getting a boost, but I probably wouldn't recommend using those two together. But the Water Sylphid, I would hold on to, because she has some promise with her heavy healing single target skill. So not much to really say about her. It's just mainly that heal that's really useful. Now, of course, with the Hall of Heroes that was out, and of how amazing she is at, pretty much just absorbing a ton of damage for the team. Everyone knows about Acasis. Everyone knows that she's very useful in pretty much just everywhere, dungeons and arena. It's this shield right here, basically. Don't even bother with her Unawakened unless you're really low level, because the shield is a certain amount of damage. It's not in proportion to her level, so the damage is not going to be as much. But once you awaken her, then you get this shield proportional to damage for 3 turns, and it increases decreases the chance of being attacked with a critical hit on all allies. So this is a useful shield. Get some Swift, probably Swift Focus, because she puts on these continuous damage, or Despair would probably be better, since she's got an AoE attack and it heals the allies by 10%. That's even more useful than some AoE debuff or something like that. This heal right here can really help. She's a support monster, of course, and for my giant speed 10 team, I need her to be able to stun monsters to replace my Julian, because my Julian pretty much gets me through most of the dungeons, surprisingly. I'll show you my Julian really quick. He doesn't even have that much attack, or critical rate, or any of that stuff. He's just basically runed so that he can get off stuns efficiently. He doesn't even have that high of accuracy. I really want to put on some accuracy, but I don't have a 6-star accuracy rune. And probably when I get one, I'll put it on my Chimera to replace this attack one, just because I really want these continuous damage effects to land. He is an absolute beast. AoE debuff. I can talk about him later, but he's good. So Julian, he's basically the stunner that I have. So if I want to replace him, since it's wind attribute, and I get this health increase right here, I want someone that I'm replacing him with to do that. So I would put stun on my Acasis, which is what I'm going to be doing here. Getting rid of that resistance rune, that's crap. But gonna put some accuracy and get the debuffs, the stuns to go to hit, because there's a 25% fixed chance, and then the continuous damage will also help. So get some high accuracy on that, and then you want her to be pretty tanky, with health and fast, so that she can get all of these skills off. Mainly this third one. This second one can help with the heal. So I wouldn't recommend going violent. Usually people use violent when they want a skill to be used more often, but I would definitely recommend using Despair on Acasis, just to take that stun, like stunner position on the team, and she does fairly well. You know, I don't even have her properly ruined, and she helps me in some of the dungeons that I need to absorb some damage, which is kind of surprising because she's not ruined at all. Now, of course, time to go into the portion that no one has these monsters except maybe a select few. But of course, get out of here. The light Sylphid, Mihail. I think that's how you pronounce it. I absolutely was crazy over Mihail. It was Mihail and I think it was the Dark Valkyrie. Those were the two of them that I really wanted from the light and dark section. But basically, she has an awesome third skill. So recovers the HP of all allies by 30%. That's a good heal right there off the bat. You know, get a ton of HP based monsters, and that's a lot of HP to recover. You know, that's a 10k heal right there. If your monsters have 30k plus HP, it's not bad. That's really not. I mean, it doesn't compare to Ariel, but this is comparing a 4-star to a 5-star. I think Mihail's got a pretty good heal right here, and increases the defense. So that's really helpful. And look at that cooldown time, 4 turns. So I don't know how much you can upgrade this skill, but if you could get it down to like 2 turns, like dang, this thing would just be going off like crazy. You got a constant defense buff and consistently healing. That is really useful, I think. So I think Mihail is a really useful monster, and I think she is definitely a keeper. Definitely put on your team. And then this is a helpful skill too. So it inflicts damage on an enemy with strong shock and puts the target skill on a cooldown. Okay, so I was wrong about the fire one. That one was not AoE. This is the same one as the fire one. It just looked like the same skill as the wind one, just without the debuff. But no, the fire is not AoE. This one's not AoE, but this can help. So it puts the target's skills, I think, because if you have multiple skills, it'll put them all on cooldown. So that can be helpful. I can think of a couple monsters off the top of my head that actually have that, such as what is one common one that the Wind Undyne, Delphoi. She also has the cooldown debuff attack, so that's actually pretty helpful, especially in some of the Kairos dungeon halls. And then of course you got the continuous damage one. And then this light attribute resistance, I wish it wasn't focused on light attribute. I know this leader skill goes to the entire Sylphid family, but of course you're not going to be having many light monsters specifically that will be helpful enough to use for this leader skill. So leader skill, thumbs down. It's kapoots, not really useful. But this third skill is absolutely, I think it's a good skill personally. So yeah, if you get Mihail, congrats to you, because I think that's one of the better light and dark monsters that are 4-star. Definitely a good pool. Now we will go down to the dark one. Oop. Let's see where you are. Nope, that's alright, here it is. So Ikaris is the Dark Sylphid. So first skill, yep, 3 continuous damage, or 3 turns of continuous damage. So this is again a helpful skill, that Acasis has, same skill. So this is helpful. But the thing is, Ikaris is attack based. So, healing on an attack based monster is pretty useful. Especially because, when you're bringing in all of these other support-based monsters, you want a lot of their skills to be really putting on those buffs, or putting debuffs on. And if you can get an attack-based monster to give you some HP, that doesn't hurt. Probably better to get a monster that focuses on mainly attack, so you can get those hits off. But I could see this being useful. It's probably better that Acasis has this skill. rather than this monster having the skill, because Acasis again is she can fill in the role of a stunner, she can fill in the role of a support based monster, and she can heal. So she puts off that shield, boom, you got a buff up. Then she can use this skill, stun and gain HP. So, and then of course we've got this skill. This can be useful. I think this this is kind of like, actually, it's exactly like the Fire Death Knight. So it steals life from the enemy. The amount stolen is equivalent to 30% of your max HP. So it doesn't heal yourself with the HP, but it steals HP from the enemy. Oh wait, maybe it does heal. Yeah, that's why it's called Dark Recovery. Duh. Okay, so it does. It's exactly like the Fire Death Knight. 30% of your max HP. So I could see this hitting upwards of 10,000 damage. You know, just put on a ton of HP, and then look at this 5-star max level. It's already got 7,000 HP, which is probably not that much compared to, you know, support monsters and HP monsters. But, you know, for an attack-based monster, that's not bad, because right now my 6-star Julian has 7,000 HP. 6-star Julian, and he's an attack-based monster. But granted, there's not as much attack to go around on Icarus, but this skill is definitely a keeper. These two skills, they're not AoE, or this is AoE, this is not AoE. So if this was AoE, that would be absolutely overpowered. And we'll just compare it to the Fire Death Knight right now. So basically it's the exact same thing as the Fire Death Knight, except this one is a slightly upgraded version, and you gain another turn if the enemy dies. So that can be pretty helpful. It'd be cool if you could reuse the skill if an enemy dies. That would be very overpowered and very useful, but it doesn't seem like it's that way. So, but this is definitely an upgraded version of the Fire Death Knight. So Icarus is basically like a Fire Death Knight, just without the instead of the AoE attack bar or attack debuff that the Fire Death Knight gives Arnold. This heals you. So Icarus, if you get her, keep her. She is a keeper. It's basically like getting a Fire Death Knight, honestly. The only difference is the attribute and the second skill. Continuous damage, in my opinion, is better than the well, this is a 30% chance, so probably not as much. So the continuous damage is not as reliable. But Arnold has a 30% chance for, if I'm not mistaken, for block healing. Okay, 50% chance. So his main attack is probably slightly better. But if you do get Icarus, congratulations, because this is another 4-star natural, you know, born dark and light monster that it's really something that you'd want to get. You know, you wouldn't want to get some, you know, crap monster like, let's see, what are some monsters you wouldn't want to get? You know, you wouldn't want to get something like a lich or something. You know, you want to get some of these good stuff. No freaking Kung Fu girl. So that's pretty much it. You know, the Sylphids, honestly, probably one of the better averaged out monster groups out there. You know, honestly, all of the Sylphids are all good in their own way. The Fire Sylphid is definitely the weakest one with the attack that she's supposed to be doing for the team. It kills her. So the water, the wind, the light, and the dark are all fantastic monsters in their own respective ways. I definitely have to say the wind and the light probably have to be the best for support, and then the dark one is definitely the best for attack, because none of the other ones are attack, but also because it's pretty much like an upgraded version of Arnold, honestly. And you know, you don't have to worry about the enemy's water monsters giving you trouble or anything like that. So I hope this helps for those of you that were wanting a review on the Sylphids. So if you are wondering whether to keep your Sylphids, I'll just tell you now, rule of thumb, if you don't have extra Sylphids, it's probably best to keep your Sylphids because they are some good monsters. So on that note, I will see you guys later, and I will be doing some more monster reviews in the next few days. So stay tuned with that, and we'll get those videos just putting out, and so that way you guys can see, which monsters are good and which ones are bad. So leave a comment below on which monsters you guys would like me to do a player review on. And keep in mind, this isn't a specific attribute of monster, so you don't need to say Fire Joker or, like Wind Death Knight or anything like that. Just say you want me to do the Death Knights, or say you want me to do the Undines or something. And I will take a look at all of the 5 attributes. So on that note, I will see you guys later.